put it over your shoulder and then more. And then more. Okay, it's not. Is it wide enough for you to do that?
Yeah.
Go back, go back.
Okay, go. Dun doo 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 dun dun dun.
They say I'm boring, but I'm not. I'm not. I am not. Oh, hi, audience. I'm Xander Morrison, and welcome back to the Xander Morrison Show. I got fired from the History Channel because they said my content was boring, drawn out, and fluffy. So now I'm making a comeback. I was picked up by the Super Monkey Fighters channel, and they've taken me under their wing and have let me continue to produce this amazing content. Today, on our journey through self-discovery through philosophical thought, we'll be studying one of the most influential ancient Greek philosophers. This man's name was Aristotle. He came from what is now modern-day Macedonia, and he had an excellent life until he was about 17, and then his parents died. Now join me on this amazing journey of self-discovery as we explore the philosophical thought and the life of Aristotle. When Aristotle arrived at the institution, the school of Plato, after his parents died, he made quite the impression. And at first it was for the wrong reasons. He had quite the attitude and was a bit of a fashionista, something I know very much about. A man who had begun his life with, let's say, a pair of Gucci flops. He was up there in the high class. This stuck while he was at the academy, but eventually he started to catch the attention of the teacher Plato because of his great knowledge and wisdom. He would stay at classes when everyone else would leave. Oh, look at this guy, this hobo right here. I wonder what lies behind those wise eyes.
Oh, hey there.
See, look at this man here. So full of wisdom, integrity.
Who are you speaking to, man?
So I'd like to ask you anything. He's very virtuous, as you can see. Despite his humble looks, he's very virtuous, and that's what he's here to tell us about.
You want a sip?
I had to stop after my wife died, but bad part of my life.
Man, there's this dude named Aristotle, and I met him once, actually, man.
Really?
Dude, he told me about these 4 virtues, and he said I should live my life by them. And ever since, man, I've been here for Hume, if you know what I mean. Yeah, 4 virtues.
Since I'm on this journey of self-discovery, what are these 4 virtues? Can you name and describe each one to me?
So, as I said, I started with Aristotle. He named off these 4 virtues to me. One was prudence, which is being wise with your surroundings, knowing what's right and wrong, using reason. You know, there's the other one. It's justice. It's similar. It's also knowing what's right and wrong. You have to abide the law, man. You gotta know what's right and wrong. There's temperance, which is more self-controlling than anything. It's using reason to help decide what you want to do next, and self-regulation. You know, it's called fortitude. You know, when you go through those times in your life where you're in pain, no one likes you. They don't make fun of you. You gotta have fortitude. You stick to the right path. Don't change yourself because you are who you are. Man.
So should you change how my documentaries are?
Man, you're a pretty cool dude. I like you, man.
I should be strong after what's happened to me.
Strong? Man, you seem like the strongest rock there is. Is your name Peter?
No.
Because you're one strong rock.
I'm not crying. I'm just really discovering myself at the moment. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, today we are joined by a leading expert on Aristotle, Professor Neckbeard. Hello, Professor Neckbeard.
Good to meet you, sir.
Good to see you as well, meet you, whatever. I'm pretty sure we've met in a previous life before. I'm really trying to connect with myself. I'm on a journey of self-discovery. But in this episode, we're talking about Aristotle.
Oh.
So, what can you tell us about Aristotle? I know you have a specialization in one of his fields.
Well, I've really paid a lot of attention to his field of metaphysics. I think that where Aristotle started with his metaphysics was his teacher Plato back a long time ago.
Well, Plato, of course, believed in the world of the forms.
Do you think your viewers know what the world of forms is?
Yes, the world of forms is like a place. This was, in Plato's philosophy, a physical place where the perfect version of everything that exists.
Exactly. I was like, and how can one think of that?
The perfect version of me would look like. Probably still employed by the History Channel, but that's for another time.
I heard about that. I'm very sorry.
So, Professor Neckbeard, what is the most important part about Aristotelian metaphysics?
Well, I think an integral part of his metaphysics is his one substance theory. It concludes that there must be one thing behind all movement, like all of life must come from one very certain point.
But could this be God?
Exactly. That's why the Catholic Church accepts this view of metaphysics.
Well, they very strongly accept Aristotle.
Exactly. It leaves a hole for God. Like, I know this is a bit of Aristotle, but you know of Thomas Aquinas, right?
Yes.
Thomas Aquinas closely relates his 5 proofs that God exists to the Aristotelian metaphysics.
And so, continuing on the subject of Aristotle, he had a very teleological viewpoint. What is teleology and how did Aristotle incorporate it?
Child, Aristotle believed that in a reality where everything could be explained by this teleology. Teleology, by the way, is the belief that anything and everything can be explained by its purpose, rather than using evidence to find its cause.
So like its end result, what
Yes.
the universe means it to be.
Yes, that is what teleology is. This truly helped Thomas Aquinas to prove his 5 ways of how God exists, mainly the greatest of the 2, the argument of the unmoved mover and the argument of the first cause.
Could you explain these to me?
Well, now we're on a slight pathway, but
I'm sorry.
I will, no worries. We live in a world where stuff is moving. Like, if I were to come in and move you,
Oh, like a
I
switchman.
have changed to change you. You see that? But what caused me to change? What caused the thing that changed me to change? Everything goes back until one. What is that one?
The unmoved mover.
God. Yeah!
Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Neckbeard.
It has been my pleasure.
Action.
While Aristotle was at the academy, he became an increasingly favored student of Plato. And people touted him to be the next head of the academy. However, when Plato died, 20 years later, when Aristotle was 37 years old, they chose an Athenian, native to the area, instead of Plato. This didn't concern Plato much. He was hired very quickly by a king in Asia Minor by the name of Hermias, and was gifted the hand of his daughter, Pythis. Now Hermias happened to piss off the king of Persia, and for this, he was promptly crucified. Hearing of this, Aristotle and his wife Pythis fled to the island of Lesbos, where Aristotle studied natural philosophy. Also on Lesbos, Pythis gave birth to Aristotle's daughter. However, she died while giving birth. After Pythias died, Aristotle lived with a woman named Perpolles. This woman gave birth to his only son, Nicomacheus. He You may have heard of the work, the Nicomachean Ethics. And Aristotle wrote this book in honor of his son Nicomacheus. The next chapter in Aristotle's long career was his time with Alexander the Great. In 343, King Philip invited him to come and be Alexander's tutor. Now, Alexander was rough and tumble, and Aristotle had to put up with this, but he eventually formed him into a strong young man who would eventually become the conqueror of the entire known world from his perspective. All good things come to an end, though, and in 340, Aristotle was sent back by Philip to his hometown, where he lived out the rest of his days.
Okay, so what's happening right now is I've been having a lot of problems in filming, just with emotions. So I've asked a psychiatrist to come, like right here, right now. Look, turn the camera.
What's up with the camera?
Just take a seat. It's fun. So we've been doing this documentary. It's my first documentary since I lost my job. It's about Aristotle, his ethics. all that
I actually did my doctorate on Aristotle in university.
Really? Hey,
Yeah.
Get this guy in the shot, man.
I didn't fill out any forms for this.
It's fine. Don't worry.
I don't know if this is good for my practice. Weren't you fired by the History Channel?
Yeah.
Discovery?
Yeah, that's why you're here.
Alright. Jesus.
Wait, what were you saying about Aristotle before?
I did my doctorate on him on his ecumenic ethics.
Nicomachean ethics?
Yeah,
Yeah.
those.
So, what else can you tell me about this stuff? I feel like this will help.
I mean, when you're trying to live, right? When you're trying to better yourself as a person, what you're trying to do is you're trying to build off of habits. Alright, so you need to make sure that you're getting into better habits. But what's the one thing that ruins habits?
Breaking habits?
Yeah,
Bad habits.
that makes no sense.
Okay, you just tell me.
Alright, listen. Xander, I'm gonna tell you honestly, it's usually the either side of the mean. Like, when you try overcommitting and when you try undercommitting to a habit, it's just gonna break it. Right now, what you're trying to do, you're trying to be overtly philosophical. Sometimes you're just laying around, just sitting at home, just being a couch potato watching TV. But you need to live right in the middle. You need to make sure that you're living in the mean of life. You know what I mean by that?
I do know what you mean by that.
Alright, well, that's what Aristotle basically talked about when he was writing these books on ethics. He was talking about eudaimonia, which is basically the mean of life. It means that you don't want to overexcess yourself, but you don't want to live a life of asceticism, you know? You just want to be right dead in the middle.
You know, the other day, I met a homeless guy who said virtues that were really important to Aristotle.
I mean, the homeless guy has a point, right? But what it comes down to, I mean, I've met said homeless guy. He's on Young and Dundas Square all the time, just talking about Aristotle nonstop. I don't know what the man's saying anymore. He's gone crazy. But you want to know why? It's because he has an alcohol problem. That's excess.
He's ditching his own. He teaches Aristotle, but he doesn't practice it.
I mean, he might live through the virtues just by being nice to others and just trying to reaffirm his faith to God or something, but really what it comes down to is he's living a life of excess where he's totally over the maximum capacity that he could put out, and it's damaging him as a person, and it's going to happen to you as well if you try to live what he's living.
Can you give me an example of the mean and how eudaimonia works?
So let's say Aristotle's walking around on a street, trying to find food. First, he visits a high-class restaurant. Realizing he doesn't have money, he can't afford to buy the food. Deciding to go for a cheaper alternative, he heads over to the nearby McDonald's and orders a McDouble. But then after realizing how excessively unhealthy it was, he spits it out and decides to go on forth, trying to find more food. Then finally, he ends up at a supermarket. Where he's able to find a cheap and very wholesome and healthy meal. To which Aristotle exclaims, reasonably priced, reasonably healthy. And that, Xander, is the mean.
How should I go about living in Eden?
Just make sure you control yourself, you know? Don't let yourself fall into harsh asceticism. Don't try to be the Buddha or something, you know? But don't be a Wall Street exec either. Just live normally, live happily, make sure you're happy, treat yourself well. That's all that matters. Aristotle's a very simple guy. It's all about treating yourself the right way in the end. And I'm a psychiatrist.
Yeah. In terms of living the mean, though, don't you need to be lucky as well to be fully eudaimonic?
And you are lucky.
Yeah.
You have your own television show.
Yeah. I got the good looks as well. Thanks for your help. I feel better. I'll talk to you about you know what? Thanks for the favor. Good favor. No money involved, right? Good favor. Good favor.
You just hugged me, my wife left me.
You too? Wow, that was quite the ride. Not too fast, not too slow. Just like the pace of this documentary. Just right. You know, after exploring this, I feel more full inside. It's good to know all these things. I learned so much about all the virtues, the 4 cardinal virtues. One of the most important parts of Aristotle's teachings. You have justice, temperance, prudence, and fortitude. Then we also went to Professor Neckbeard, and we learned about the teleos and how God and Aquinas fits into Aristotle's teaching of the 5 ways. That really opened me up spiritually after my whole ordeal. And then I met with my psychiatrist, Reuben, and he just made it all better. He revealed to me what it's about, what the world is, and what the meaning is. And this works for me, the mean, living in the middle, learning to not be overly virtuous, but not unduly slacking in virtue, to be right in between, to not be sad, but to not be overly happy, to be content. This is what it's about. This is what Aristotle's about, and this is what will work for me. I want to thank everyone for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Xander out.
Next time on the Xander Morrison Show, Xander reads Nietzsche.
Xander, what the heck? Nothing matters, everything's a lie, and we're all gonna die someday.
Only if my people could. I would if my people would. I do what my people would, because my people would. Only if my people could. I would if my people could. I would if my people would.